So here is where your textbook introduces pilgrimage churches. They give you a little box here that kind of takes a sidesteps that to take a moment to look at the pilgrim's journey to St. James at Santiago de Compostela. But let's go down. Here's the roots of that journey, taking the traveling pilgrims out to northwest Spain near the coast. There we are. Let's look at the architecture. So here they explain the importance of the Cathedral of St. James as a major goal of pilgrimage because it had the body of St. James. And then what did that mean in terms of the way the building was designed? Builders of this and several other major churches along the roads leading through France to the shrine developed a distinctive plan designed to accommodate the crowds of pilgrims and allow them to move easily from chapel to venerate relics. This pilgrimage plan is a model of functional planning and traffic control. Let's look at the architectural plan. What are they talking about? Here is a basilica with a transept. And of course, as you already know, a basilica has an apse. Now, this basilica also has these little curved spaces, which are chapels, miniature little sacred spaces. They go along the transept arms and they go around the apse. They're sort of like miniature versions of the shape of the apse, which is curved, mini apses, if you will. Each of these chapels are intended to hold a relic. So the entire church is designed around how you move pilgrims who are visiting around the church to be able to go into these chapels and contact with their souls, with their eyes, with their minds, the relics that are contained there. So they go on to explain that the designers, the builders, have done that in this way. To the aisled nave, the builders added aisled transepts with eastern chapels, leading to an ambulatory curving walkway with additional radiating chapels around the apse. So what they're saying there is that you've already had a design where the nave of a basilica has aisles. The nave of the basilica has aisles on either side. But now those aisles continue around the transept arms. So you have essentially side walkways to move along the transept. And as those transept aisles continue, they lead you to those radiating chapels. These are called radiating chapels that are off the apse. They mention here that these are Eastern chapels. An important point about a Christian basilica church made in the medieval world is that it's oriented from west to east. The apse is positioned at the east because that's where the sun rises, a very powerful metaphor for the Christian idea of resurrection, of Jesus Christ rising from the dead. So this is your eastern end. And here's where you have the most radiating chapels, enhancing the sacredness of the apse. So if we scroll down from the plan to this drawing, this is showing you the exterior view of that eastern end, which is the apse. And you can see the mini apses, as I am amusingly calling them, are here off the transept and here radiating off the apse. By the way, they're showing you this exterior in a drawing because this cathedral will be worked on and embellished over hundreds of years. And the way it looks today on the outside is different than what it looked like at the time it was built. As we move on the textbook authors say, at Santiago, pilgrims enter the church through large double doors at the ends of the transepts rather than through the western portal, which served ceremonial processions. Let's think about that again in relation to the plan. Here's what is your main entrance. It's the entrance that's designed to have the most dramatic effect because you enter here and move directly into the nave, looking down the longitudinal axis toward that eastern apse, the most sacred space. But that is a ceremonial entrance. That's not just for anyone to just kind of stroll into the church and meander down the nave, because the nave is sacred space where ceremonies happen. So what they've done is they've added an alternate entrance here on the side of the transept, which is an entrance where pilgrims can come in to venerate the relics. Essentially, they've created a way of having movement along the margins of the building even when you have ceremonies going on. And you're going to see in the text that this entrance is open at all hours. Because if you're a pilgrim, you're walking from France to Spain, who knows what time you're going to get there. So in this paragraph, the authors move into talking about the interior of the building and the design in terms of its height. They say both nave and transept have 2 stories, an arcade and a gallery. You've got to start learning these terms. They're going to be used over and over again, and you'll need to be comfortable with them in order to be able to tell the difference between different architectural designs. So as you read, sentence by sentence, go to the photographs or the drawings. So come down here. They said you've got 2 stories, okay? You've got the first story is a very tall arcade. Remember, an arcade is a row of arches. And the second story is called a gallery. It also has arches. Notice the difference in proportions. This is shorter, this is taller. Next sentence gives you more terms to link to what you see. Compound piers with attached half columns on all 4 sides support the immense barrel vault and are projected over it vertically through a rhythmic series of transverse arches. So, compound piers. You remember what a pier is from Hagia Sophia. It's the solid vertical support that's holding up the weight of the curving ceiling. They're pointing out that they have made these piers a little more decorative by adding these half columns. They look like columns, but they're actually attached. So they're performing a reinforcing function, strengthening the pier, but also giving it kind of decorative elegance. And they continue up the wall where they become a transverse arch that is supporting the barrel vault curve of the ceiling. So support and decoration are working interdependently. I want to help you with some more of these terms, even though this video is getting long. So look here. 3 different kinds of vaults are used here. Barrel vaults with transverse arches cover the nave. Okay, we already saw that down here. Scroll down, computer. Barrel vault, curved barrel shape with transverse arches. It's covering the nave. Okay, we've got barrel vaults. Groin vaults span the side aisles. Okay, groin vaults, you can't really see in here. It's too bad they didn't show you a picture of one, so I will. So vault construction, you know what a barrel vault is. A groin vault is just 2 barrel vaults that are intersecting perpendicularly at right angles like 2 pipes. Okay, so they're a groin because they're the meaning of 2 barrel vaults. So the last point here, half barrel, also called quadrant vaults, are used in the galleries, that second story. Let's look at those. So you can't see them again through the gallery, but if we could peek in there, that's where they'd be. Here is a barrel vault, right? So You can think of this as kind of a half of a circle, and you can have with an imaginary continuation, like if you drew a line from the transverse arches and you continued the curve, it would make a circle. I mention that because it sort of explains why the term quadrant arch is used. Here's a quadrant arch. It's not at St. James Santiago de Compostela, but it's a really good example. And so it's basically half of the barrel vault, so it's a quarter of a circle, right? If you have a whole circle. So it's really confusing that your textbook authors gave you both terms. I think half barrel is easier to manage, but I wanted you to know both. So essentially, they're giving you two terms for the same thing. Half barrel vault used in the gallery. So a last point, they mention there is no clearest story. There's no second story that gives you direct windows shining light into the nave. The gallery does not go directly to windows shining outside. So what that means is that it's fairly dark because light enters the nave and transept only indirectly. There are windows on the outer wall of those galleries, and the light is coming in the windows. You can kind of see it here, but it's not giving that much light to the nave. So there is a lantern tower, a structure built above the main ceiling with windows that illuminate the space below. Here it is from the outside. There's a little tower placed right at the meeting of the nave and the transept with windows, which is pretty dramatic because it means that your maximum amount of light is coming in right at the altar. Good poetics of light.